I typed it up for you this weekend. I need to add an icing.
So I just started. So I'm on 11.
So it becomes a mind thing. You like, I gotta beat that. I gotta win. I gotta.
I can do it.
That's right. Fabulous.
I have 12 o'clock. What do y'all have? Time to start the meeting. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here today. It is a beautiful day outside. Glad you're here with us. Looks like we still have one guest returning again from last time. Yay, new member on the way. That's right. Let's call this meeting to order. And if you all stand with me, let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Woo-hoo! Okay, we had a little bit of a change in the agenda today, but that's good. We've got people that stepped up. And our Toastmaster today is Toney Bailey. Let's welcome him. Woohoo! Thank you.
Madam President, our fellow Toastmasters, welcome you again to our meeting today. And as you know, I sent out an email about what our theme would be. Does anybody remember what our theme would be? Always being prepared. Always. So, here's how this happens. So I'm actually on my way upstairs, and I'm texting on my phone as I'm walking, so I can't open the door and text at the same time. Well, in the midst of that, David walks up behind me, and he says, "Hey, Toney, would you be willing to?" My first thought in my mind was, had I kept walking, I would not have encountered him. However, I did, and instantly I had to change my mindset because I was only going to, do the Toastmasters Minute today, and now I have to be Toastmasters. So our mindset should always be being prepared. Things do happen, things do change, right? You cannot be overwhelmed when things change. You just have to do what? Be prepared. Okay, so with that in mind, let's hear from our R counter today. Our R counter is Rachel. By the way, we have to be sure that we get Rachel on camera today because she has decided she didn't want to be on camera. Always be prepared. Next, we will have our word of the day by Miss Tammy. And if you will notice, she is so excited about this word.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Our word for today is confabulate. Confabulate is a verb. It is to converse informally, to chat, to talk socially without exchanging too much information, to talk together, to have a conference in order to talk something over. In other words, to spend a lot of time saying nothing. The forms of this word are confabulated, confabulatory, confabulator, or confabulation. Now, in psychology, I learned this word as being part of a group that did a study about witnesses. What we understand is witnesses often confabulate. They replace fact with fantasy, fill in our gaps. Can't remember something, our mind automatically puts it in place. As your grammarian, I will hopefully see you using this or hear you using this word quite often, and I will also be listening for incorrect speech, mispronunciation of words, and the almost always popular Arkansas slang, leaving off the G. I learned in Minnesota how terribly bad I was at speaking. Yes. So, those of you who are very good at speaking, well, get bonus points. Now, enough of my confabulation.
Great job, confabulate. As I look at this word, well, first of all, Tam and I, we had a little confabulation a little bit earlier, standing right over there.
Good, Toney.
And as members of Toastmasters, our goal is to not confabulate as we deliver our speeches, because we should be sharing good information. Good information. Next, we will begin with our speakers. Our first speaker with speech number 4, how do you say it? The title of her speech is Preparing a Tall Sandwich. Please welcome Miss Jennifer Medley.
Ideas? Oh, I don't know. Confabulation. Good point, Adren. Anyone else? They probably practiced. They prepared. Thank you. Did research. That's right. What about constructive criticism? Do you think that they listened as those they trusted offered suggestions on how to improve speech structure or delivery or timing? I see some nods. I bet they did. So a good speech evaluation takes us out of ourselves and helps us to understand what the audience sees and what they hear. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, today I want to talk with you about developing a solid speech evaluation. Great. So if you're like me, developing a speech evaluation can be kind of daunting. Okay. You've got to really focus on the speaker. You've got to listen to the details. Then you have to develop the evaluation in a distracting environment in a short amount of time. It can be pretty tough. So I have some ideas today to make that a little bit easier for you. We want to talk about preparing a tall sandwich today. And each of you has a handout in front of you with those steps. Hopefully you have that. If not, there's some on the back table. And the first thing you want to do when you're preparing a speech evaluation is to prepare yourself. So read through the speech that the person is giving. If it's speech number 4, read through that. Understand what the speech is about. And then look at the evaluation piece. Look at what you're supposed to be evaluating as the person is speaking. Another thing you want to do is you want to confabulate with the speaker. Okay? Ask them what they hope to get from the speech. All right. They might have something that they want you to listen for or to look for. So make sure you understand that before they get up to speak. As you're listening, consider how the speaker makes the audience feel tall. Now, our fellow Toastmaster Dave Rudney introduced this idea to us, and it was originated by the 1999 World Champion of Public Speaking, Craig Valentine. So tall means how the speaker makes the audience think, act, laugh, and learn. Okay, so we're going to walk through that a little bit right now. How does the speaker make the audience think? Did they present new data? Did they present a problem in a new light? Did they make you rethink something that you thought you had your mind set on? Did they question the status quo? Think about all of those things, and then how does the speaker have the audience want to act? Do they get the audience involved? Is there an engaging call to action at the end of the speech or during the speech? Did the speaker make the audience laugh? Humor is a good way to engage our audience. It helps us to be connected with the speech topic and with the speaker themselves. And it's also good for the soul, as they say. It's also good for the memory. When we laugh, we kind of cement those ideas that we're laughing about in our heads. So it helps to recall that. What did you learn from the speaker? Listening to new speeches, I know every week for me it's an opportunity to expand my mind and my heart sometimes. And so when we're doing that, as we're listening, we can learn how to do new things to prompt ourselves to change and to become better speakers and better people overall. So maybe you learned something as simple as the way they presented the material. Maybe you liked that, so you can incorporate that into your speech. Maybe you liked how they used the props or a handy-dandy handout. You just never know, right? Each of those are things that you can use in your life and as you're delivering your own speeches. So I know you're thinking, right, how does a sandwich play into this? Well, as we go through our speech evaluations, what you want to do is any constructive criticism you have, you want to kind of buffer that with some positive comments. So you might say something like, you know, your statistics are really amazing. I didn't know that problem existed. Your PowerPoint was really informative, but it had a lot of text. It was kind of hard to read and follow. So next time, you might want to just use keywords and a picture to emphasize your points. But overall, it was a great speech, and I'm going to do some more research on the topic when I get back to my desk. Okay? So you got your positive, it's really good. Then you've got your negative comments, if you want to say that. But you want to offer not just the negative comment, but also a solution for that. And then you also want to give another positive at the end. So when you do all of these things, you listen to the speech, you prepare yourself, you understand how the speaker made the audience feel tall, and you sandwich your comments, then everyone walks away satisfied. Mr. Toastmaster.
What a beautiful job. You know, oftentimes when it's your turn to deliver a speech, and you're going, what in the world will I speak on this time, right? That is a perfect example of being creative, and she actually provided some very good information to us as Toastmasters. I don't know if anybody's ever thought of doing exactly what she did, but it's very creative, so we should kind of keep that in the back of our minds, because we may have the chance to do the same thing. Our next, and by the way, I did skip the Toastmasters minute. I will come back to it after all of the speeches. Next, our second speaker with speech number 5, titled, Can You Benefit from Something Different? Please welcome Mr. Adren Duncan.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and prospective guests. Today is a moment that you need in the rest of your life. There is one little book that has at least 25 speeches in it today. Today, I want you to take 1 minute and decide that you are the district governor. Yes, you have just been elected as our district governor. Now, tell me, what is your responsibilities? Can anyone in this room tell me, as a district governor, what are your responsibilities? 1 minute. I will allow you, if you wish, to stand and tell me what your responsibilities are as our new district governor beginning today. No comments. Well, Mr. Dewey McGar has decided to become our division governor since he's got 25 speeches in this little manual. That's the July edition. So I will allow him to stand up for 1 minute and tell us what is his duties and responsibilities as a division governor. Can anyone help Dewey decide what he might be responsible for as a division governor? Well, Mr. Ritter's not here, so I can't specifically ask him. So then I'm going to ask Mr. Philip Borden to decide that he will become Dewey's area governor today. And we want Mr. Philip to tell Dewey, or Dewey can tell Mr. Philip, what are your responsibilities as our area governor? Philip looks at Mr. Dewey and says, oh no, I haven't learned that yet. I'm not sure. So then tomorrow, Susan McGar will become our president of the Healthmasters Club. What is her responsibilities? Does she know? That might be an opportunity for our minute of the day, toast of the day, to help us understand what in the world am I supposed to do in this new job. As Sergeant at Arms, wow. Which one of you could take on that opportunity today and fulfill those duties and obligations and responsibilities in 1 minute and know exactly what you're supposed to say or do if you are assigned or elected today as a new position? Oh, I'm shaking. Oh, I don't know what to do. What do I do? What would you do if you were elected to that position and expected to fulfill it with at least 101%? Not 20%, not 50, not 60, not 75, but expected to fulfill those roles, duties, obligations as a Toastmaster? All of this information is probably in your Toastmaster magazine, May, June, July, August. And since Dewey's been in Toastmasters since April, I'm sure he's memorized most of these: April, May, June, July, and ready for August, since he will soon become our division governor. Would you agree with that? I think we should confabulate with everyone and see if we can come up with these positions, duties, obligations, responsibilities as our new officers for next year. We want you to be elected. What do you think? I believe you can do it. I believe each one of you are talented and skilled enough in your department, your area, your job, your position, your career, that you could fulfill possibly any one of these. Within 30 days, you would be skilled and talented enough to fulfill these obligations. With confabulation, of course. Would you agree? I agree. I've been studying in this one. A young man here said his opportunity was to either overcome his failure as a dentist or overcome his failure as a customer service representative. Which do you believe he did? He started working as a customer service representative. I said to him, why? He said 70% of all small businesses fail. For what reason? Lack of customer service. When you go into these opportunities, which is an opportunity in every place you spend money, Kroger's, Walmart, Sam's, there's an opportunity there for you to be a customer service representative for Toastmasters, especially Healthmasters. Right? Do you have a 30-second presentation about Healthmasters? How great, how marvelous, how wonderful? Because now you're about to become the district governor with confabulation, or the division governor, or the area governor, or Susan McGar as president of the Healthmasters. Can you imagine? Can you already see yourself in that position? The word RISE, R-I-S-E, is the new opportunity from Toastmasters International. And we want you to learn those 5 letters. Number 1, respect. I believe if I respect each one of you in this room, then you will give me the respect in return that I deserve. Now, I said deserve. If I haven't earned it, then I probably will not receive it. Right? Integrity is the second part. integrity. I believe as a Toastmaster, you and I are held responsible for integrity of the Healthmasters Club, to grow and develop, and to teach our young people in this room, to become district governor. So I'm looking forward to you becoming our next district governor, or division governor, or area governor, or even just exciting opportunity for president of this club. The S is service. I believe if we are servants to those less fortunate than ourselves, or a little more scared, if we're a little more scared than the other person, it's just help them realize that we're a family. I believe if we will be a servant to them, encourage them, giving them direction and information, we can confabulate with them to rise to the occasion. The E in rise is excellence. I see each one of you in your department, your job, and your career as working with excellence. I believe each one of you are superb in your job. The requirements, expectations, duties that you're required to do without confabulation will help you rise to the occasion. R-I-S-E. Mr. Toastmaster. Did that work? Did it work?
Yes, it did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Another great speech. So one of the things you learn from Adren as he speaks, no one will fall asleep with Adren speaking. Great voice inflection. He's full range. I mean, he has something to say, and you know that Adren is speaking when he speaks. And of course, he doesn't confabulate either. So, great job. Great job. Our next speaker, her second speech, organize your speech. The importance of lead screening in children. Please welcome Miss Q.
Good afternoon, Toastmaster and fellow Healthmasters. By the way, I like being called Q. That works for everybody, just a side note. I'm going to confabulate a little bit. As many of you may know, I work in epidemiology as the lead-based paint epidemiologist. And the reason why I'm going to confabulate is because, one, when people hear the word epidemiology, they immediately think. What I want to talk to you guys about is the importance of lead screening. The importance of lead screening. So when I started at the health department, I got to saying that lead is dead. What exactly does that mean? Lead is dead is the belief that lead is no longer a problem in Arkansas. Why? Because we see all of these fabulous new constructions growing up. The problem with this is that the majority of Arkansans live in historic houses. They live in housing stock that was built before 1978. If your home was built before 1978, chances are that it was painted either on the interior or exterior with lead-based paint. Lead-based paint is a problem for young children. Why? Who has a small child, 6 and under, in here? You? Great. What does your child like to do most? With their toys? With their hands? With your keys? With your phone? What do? Everything in the mouth. Hand to mouth. Hand to mouth is a common trait among small kids. It's just how they explore their environment. The problem with that is that they can't see everything that's on the toys, the phone, the keys that they're putting in their mouth. Lead-based paint is not a problem because of the paint chips. It's a problem because of paint dust. As paint gets old, it deteriorates and it creates dust. And as you all know, when you clean your house, you can't see all of the dust. And so what happens is the dust is spread around the house. It gets into the soil if it falls onto the exterior of the house. And then your children go outside and they make mud pies. And they make little brother or little sister eat the mud pie. So when they eat the mud pie, they also eat lead dust, which leads to lead contamination or lead exposure, which leads to elevated blood lead levels. Now, So what's the problem with children having elevated blood lead levels? People say, well, when I grew up, it wasn't a problem. I chewed on paint, I did this, and I did that. Well, what we're learning is that lead poisoning, when it's left untreated, is leading to a lot of our societal problems, such as attention deficit disorder, which is becoming very common in our school system. When you go into a classroom, there is going to be at least one child that has been diagnosed with ADD. What scientists are learning is that ADD is largely contributed to kids being exposed to lead and not being treated. They're also learning that children that grow up in urban areas that end up in the juvenile system is because they've been exposed to lead and they weren't treated. So it causes them to have developmental problems. So I guess you guys are wondering, like, how does all of this go together? What exactly does lead poisoning do to you? Lead poisoning can cause problems in every system of the body. It can stunt your growth. It can cause you to have ADD. It can cause you to have other mental issues. Aggression is one of the common things that we see in children who have high lead levels. They start to do things like bang their head against the ground. They start to do things like scream at random and just misbehave. So what can you do as a parent? The best thing that you can do is have your children tested. The only way to know how much lead is in a child's system is to have them tested, to have them screened for lead. It's a very simple test. What you'll do when you go into the doctor's office, they will prick your child's finger and they will take a blood sample. If the levels are elevated, then they'll send your child for what they call a venous draw, where they'll actually take it out of the vein. And that's going to give us the most accurate results. This is critical because early screening leads to early detection. Early detection leads to early treatment. If we can treat it, then we can resolve the issue. So what happens when it goes on for a long time? When children are continuously exposed to lead, their lead levels continue to go up. The higher they get, the longer it takes to cure it. And the only way to treat lead poisoning is through chelation. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many of you have ever had what my grandmother used to like to call a Charlie horse in the middle of the night? Okay. Rachel, how does that feel? It hurts. It does. So what happens when you have chelation therapy is that children are injected with a medication that is meant to bond the lead. Unfortunately, when it bonds everything else as well, the other good nutrients in your body, such as potassium. So what happens is that these children go into a full body cramp. How do you soothe a child that's in a full body cramp? As a parent, what can you do when your child is experiencing a full body cramp? Nothing. When my child is sick, she cry, I cry. So if she's in a full body cramp, she gonna be crying, I'm gonna be crying. It's emotionally devastating, not only for the child, but also for the parent, because at this point, you have a sick child that you can't help. The good thing is that it can be prevented. Childhood lead poisoning is 100% preventable. It is the #1 environmental contaminant that's facing our youth today. But we can prevent this. We can prevent this by, one, only hiring licensed people to abate lead in our house. That means that when you get ready to do renovations in your home, that means that you can't go get John Paul off the corner. Because although he may be good and he may be cheap, he may not be safe. So today, if you have not had your children tested for lead, I would like for you to consider it. The CDC recommends that all children be tested at ages 1 and 2. However, if your child is under the age of 6 and has never been tested, please have them tested. If you live in a home that was built prior to 1978, please have your home tested for lead. That way you can identify the sources and the hazards and know whether or not your child is at risk.
Another very informative speech. How many of you, as she mentioned, a full body cramp, how many of you began to cringe just at the thought of, just thinking about it? But Q, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Were you the one eating the mud pies or feeding the mud pies?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm the middle child. So that means that I have an older brother that made me eat. But I also have a younger brother. I've done a little bit of both.
As she said that, I kind of detected a little bit of joy, especially in the making, you know. I knew there was a story behind that when you mentioned that. So next I will do our Toastmaster Minute. So as I was thinking about this, you know, what can I share as far as a Toastmaster Minute? And I thought about what we can all do in sharing our experience about Toastmasters. How many of you have seen the advertisement for a particular movie and you thought, you know, I may go see that movie? And when the movie first comes out, you decided you're too busy or whatever and you didn't go see the movie. And then you actually forgot about it. And then somebody says, you know, you should go see this movie. And they tell you some of the things that they saw, some of the things they liked, and it kind of piques something, you know, your interest. And you decide to go see the movie, right? You ever notice that after the initial weekend screening of a particular movie, they don't advertise it anymore? I wonder why. Word of mouth. Word of mouth. Why does word of mouth work so well? Because people trust their family and their friends. You know, if Dana went and saw a movie and she said, Tony, you should go see this movie, I'm at least going to consider it. And the more impressive she sounds, the more she likes it, the more I'm going to be encouraged to go and watch that movie. It is the same way with Toastmasters. So, we should be sharing our experiences about Toastmasters. There is not one of us that's here today, so I won't preach to the choir, not one of us here today who has not had a really good experience, especially today, hearing these wonderful speeches, being a part of the meeting that you do not have something to share. Guess what I heard at Toastmasters today? Guess what I did in Toastmasters today? Guess how I'm able to stand in front of people and do better presentations? Because I am a member of Toastmasters. So, you should share Toastmasters, all of your experiences with others, not so much so we can increase our membership, but really because you can help someone else grow. You've grown, correct? Share the good news. Thank you. Next, our table topics from our fellow member from Nolans, Ms. Barbara Williams.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Healthmasters and guests. I'm on pins and needles. I'm waiting on this baby to come. And it's killing me. She's still in labor. The Duchess of Cambridge. You all on the baby watch, right? I've been confabulating about this all morning upstairs, and nobody seems to know what baby I'm talking about. Okay, well, Prince William and Princess Kate. I'm still waiting. So, today, first of all, I want to pick two people. Let's pick Dewey and that's all. That gets you picked every time. Rachel, pick a number between 1 and 25. Okay, that's not good. Pick a number, Dewey. Between 1 and 25. Okay. Then you get the calendar. My number. Okay, so here we go with the table topics today. Always being prepared. You have just been elected to give a speech to the royal family on raising the future king or queen from the commoner's standpoint. You have just been elected to give a speech to the royal family on raising the future king or queen from the commoner's standpoint. James. Mike.
From a commoner's standpoint,
Yes.
considering that I am a commoner, I don't believe I have any royalty in my blood, Miss Table Topics Master. I would reflect back on the experiences that I had as a child and also being a parent of 3 daughters. What I could share with them in regards to natural. Wife, on the other hand, she probably won't agree, but she went out and bought all these books, parenting books, and all. I think I babysat cousin, pardon me, maybe twice as I was growing up. Else was just natural. With regards to comforting, with regards to taking care of, I mean, the baby, naturally, at that point, it wasn't mine, so I knew I could give it back. So, me being the father now, just kind of all came natural. Just go with your gut feeling. Go with what you would want as how you were either raised or how you would have wanted to have been raised.
Thank you so much. You can keep that. Next. Thank you for those inspiring words on how to treat the baby when it comes. Because I didn't get to go to the parenting classes with them. You have just been asked to give a speech on bullying to a 6th grade class. Tell us what that would be like, Rachel. You have just been asked to give a speech on bullying to a 6th grade class.
Would first tell them bullying is not tolerated at all. But if you were to continue to be bullied, tell an adult, and after that you were continue to be bullied, might have to put them in the dirt.
Okay. Well, there's no official word yet on the birth of the baby, so with that in mind, I will turn you back over to the Toastmaster for the day.
So Rachel may have this sweet demeanor, but I don't think you want to mess with her. Put you in the dirt. Next, our general evaluator, Mr. Dewey McGar.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Some excellent speeches today. We did start with a minute of being on time. I really like the illustration of the tall sandwich. That's going to help me to remember that better because it gives me a visual to put together not only the TALL, but the 3 parts to it and emphasizing the positive. That's one of the best speeches I've seen in any organization about evaluation, and I've been in many organizations. Adren has taught me to rise to a new level. I made a decision last week to become a Toastmasters ambassador, And I thought I was stretching myself to do that. And then we started talking about area governor. In my mind, I was crawling under the table like you were doing with his body language here. But I believe that we all have the potential to do those things. I had no idea about lead dust. I always thought it was just the chips of paint. If it's not chipping, you're fine. That is amazing. Lead dust, I had no idea. It's not what you can see. Excellent points in these speeches today. I'm going to go on to the evaluators for our speeches, and evaluator number 1 is Tammy.
Jennifer, you're great. I just have to say you had a great topic. You had evidence of experience on the topic, so you were very confident with that. There were a couple of things that, we're working on here. Using the word kinda. About 3 or 4 times in your speech you said kinda, which is slang, and we want to work on reducing our slang as much as possible. I don't know that this podium moves real easily, but you made sure it didn't. But a lot of times you were holding on to it instead of just standing behind it. So I thought maybe it was moving on you or something. No, I'm teasing. But you do have very good eye contact, and your voice control is great because you were up and down and really kept us moving. So you did a great job with that.
That was an excellent tall sandwich. Evaluator number 2 is Dana.
Thank you. Adren, loved your speech. You really made us feel tall. You made us think about what it would take to be a district governor or an officer. You taught us the acronym RISE, which was awesome. We'll use that quite frequently, I'm sure, in our life. You encouraged us to act upon being some governor or some other officer, just even reading the magazine. You encouraged us to act on that, which I'm not really great about. So you also made us laugh. We learned something, so you did a great job making us feel tall. If I could say anything to improve your topic today, during a lot of your speeches you ask a lot of questions, which make us think. I know they're designed to make us think. But sometimes I'm not sure with the timing or the pauses in between your questions if you're really wanting an answer or not. So you might think about working on that just a little bit. If you really want us to answer, then make it a longer hesitation. If you don't want us to answer, then move on to the next thing. Timing and asking questions is tricky, I think. I think we were a little confused, though, because I looked at Dewey and he didn't know whether to stand up and say anything about being a district governor or not. And when you asked, I thought, well, I could, kind of BS some of this and stand up and say a few things. I didn't know whether to or not. So just something to think about. But you had really good high energy and made really good points. And I appreciate your speech, and I look forward to many more. Thank you.
Another good tall sandwich. Just that illustration makes it easier to see and do these evaluations. Our third evaluator is LaTanya.
Hello, everyone. Welcome today, and I will be evaluating Miss Quinyatta, also known as Q, Mumford, on her speech today. Very good speech. I love the way you incorporated what you do in your day-to-day job into doing a topical speech today, and I think that's one of the categories that speech number 2 can fall under. And so you did a really good job. Even I having a 2-year-old, I learned a lot about what I could do to make sure that he's not exposed to lead-based paint in the house. I thought that it was interesting about the chelation therapy. I didn't know that comes in at the end after you experience being exposed to lead as a child. One of the things that you can work on perhaps would be to for the acronyms. I'm sorry, for the acronym ADD. I don't think everybody probably knows it, but you didn't let us know that it meant attention deficit disorders. And the last thing, without any and I'm not confabulating, I think it's really great that I'm so sorry, Dana. Okay. This evaluation thing is not as easy as it seems. Really great job. I saw that you had you were about to come out here and start talking to us, and then you kind of went back after, I guess Dewey told you need to hit the mic. But I was trying to tell you could have grabbed this one and walked around the place. But you did a really great job, Q. Thank you, and I look forward to your next speech, okay?
All of that confabulation just couldn't get away from that Okay. We were made to feel tall today. We were able to think, laugh, learn, and act. A very good meeting, a good turnout of people today. We started on time. Our meeting is still running right on time. So our confabulation has been efficient. So overall, this has been a very good meeting, and I am enjoying being a Toastmaster. I am learning so much from the other Toastmasters here, and I want to say thank you to all of you for what you are teaching me to become a better person, to rise above what I thought that I could do, and take action for the future to believe myself to be more than I thought that I could be. Mr. Toastmaster. Oh, that's right. Got two other things to cover. The grammarian's report is going to be done by Tammy.
Let me get that one down. I am glad we've had such a good time with this word. I wasn't sure, to be honest with you. I went back and forth. But what I'm seeing is Toney used the word 3 times. Adren has now used it 5 times. Jennifer used it once. Q used it a couple of times. Barbara used it once. LaTanya used it once. Dewey used it twice. I used it 3 times today. So apparently this is a good word for us. And from what I understand, most of you were unfamiliar with the word, so we've learned a new word today. While watching and listening for grammar, I did not realize until I actually paid attention today how many people like the word kinda. It's not just Jennifer. A couple of others used it. I even caught myself using it. It's like, that word's sticking in my head for some reason. Some of the things that I really noted that were great was the amount of effort that was notable for putting G on the end of words. We are getting very professional about not using contractions. For instance, Toney said do not instead of don't, which is very good. We're really working to make sure we're using proper professional grammar and deleting the slang. One of the other things that I noticed was, Rachel's good with that bell. I'll confabulate a little bit here. Q used you guys, which is slang, and that's a very common slang term in Arkansas. We want to avoid using you guys, y'all, those type things, and I did see that a little bit. We also noticed that Q used leading instead of leading. Toney said babysit when he had already babysat. So, or babysitted, I don't think is right either. Oh, I'm sorry, Toney. Yes, it was you. I had the right name down, just looked at the wrong person. Part of my team, James says, not me, it was him. You have brothers, don't you, James? All right. Dewey, you had excellent articulation. You were one of the ones I noticed that was really, really careful to make sure you put the proper ending on words, using the correct subject-verb agreement. I'm going to take that bell away from Rachel any minute. Rachel, doing a good job. But what's this thing about putting them in the dirt? Putting them in the dirt. No, I'm teasing. It was the proper use of the slang because she was having fun. So Dana did working instead of working, and LaTanya, of course, likes her kinda. But overall, very good. I saw a lot of improvement in our speech.
And I just learned something. I didn't know contractions weren't professional. So I'm still learning all of the time. Okay. We have one more evaluation to take place today. That's our timer's report by James.
Wow, I'm not going to confabulate on being mixed up with everybody, but the meeting started at 12:02. Toastmaster minute was 2 minutes 17 seconds. Speaker 1, Jennifer, was 5 minutes 5 seconds. Speaker 2, Adren, 6 minutes 30 seconds. Speaker 3, Quinyatta, Q, 7 minutes 15 seconds. Barbara with the introduction of the table topics, 1 minute 47 seconds. I responded to the first question for 1 minute 26 seconds. Rachel, 21 seconds. Evaluations, Dewey's introduction for the evaluation part was 1 minute 47 seconds. Tammy's evaluation was 53 seconds. Dana's was 1 minute 35 seconds. LaTanya, 2 minutes 1 second. Grammarian report was 2 minutes 52 seconds. I didn't start my timer, so.
That concludes our evaluations. I love the evaluation time because we can all learn from each other, not only what we've done wrong, but what we're doing right. So I'll turn the meeting now back over to our Toastmaster.
Thank you all for a wonderful meeting and being prepared. We're going to go ahead and close out this meeting by turning it over to the president so that Rachel can let her finger rest.
We have had a meeting with a lot of confabulation today and laughter, which is always good. I wanted to say a note about something that we say a lot, and I caught myself, I probably said it at least 3 times during my evaluation time, is the word so. Boy, we wear that word out. I am really trying to work on that myself, but I sure mess up. Be thinking about that. And when you do your speeches and when we do the table topics, try to find something else to say instead of so. I've noticed one really good thing about Nathaniel, and he's not here, so he can't hear that. I just said so again. See, it's easy. It's so easy. He stops just for a second before he says the next word, and where he would have said the word so, it's just a pause, which a little momentary pause is great. We have a couple of one item of business today. Tammy Pinnell could not remember whether or not we had voted her in or not. And I couldn't remember either. Is there anybody else that we didn't vote in? Q? I thought we voted y'all in that day that we were in L137 or whatever.
You may have it, I just wasn't there.
But just so we'll be sure about this.
I move we select them and
All in favor? Any opposed? Great. No. The other thing I want to remind us about is there will be a speech contest coming up in the next few weeks, pretty soon, and there'll be a lot of people that will be acting as different officers in that and trying to organize that. But one thing we wanted to do as we are doing our table topics is really try to speak for at least 1 to 2 minutes when you're called upon impromptu, Rachel. She's new. She probably didn't know. That's another thing I'd like to see us do is actually discuss about how long we are to speak. When you're called to speak, it's 1 to 2 minutes, and we should be, yes, and you should be watching up there because we also should be timing those table topics. You're not the only one that does that, Rachel. I was just teasing with you because you're easy to tease. I know. I'm bullying her. Also want to remind officers and anyone else is invited that wants to come, there is a Saturday training session. If anybody wants the directions to that, please see Barbara. She's really good at giving us the directions. I tried putting it in MapQuest and it took me to the police department downtown. And so then I tried again to put it in, and it took me to Geyer Springs somewhere, and I think the meeting is actually way out Chenal, out near Pride Valley. I was really confused. Do we have any other business? Yes, do we?
I have been assigned as chairman for the current recruitment contest for our Healthmasters Club. And if you would be interested in helping me on this contest to fulfill one of your leadership roles under number 8 project, please let me know. The contest will be from, you missed your ding, I said The contest duration will be July 1st to September 30th, and we may repeat it again next quarter if it is requested. The awards will come in 2 categories. Number 1 will be inviting first-time guests who attend a meeting, and we'll have a first and second place award for that for those who invite the most first-time guests during this quarter. The second one will be invited guests who pay membership dues, and the person who invites the most guests who pay their first-time membership dues during that quarter, there'll be a first and second place for that. The types of awards will include some Toastmaster award certificates, which we will present in October to the first and second place award winners. Winners will be announced in our Toastmaster newsletter, and then there will be some undetermined prizes that will be given out to those who do the best. The goal is to increase the number of people here so that we'll have more people to learn from so that we can all become better Toastmasters.
We might all benefit from a copy of those, or at least an email or something to tell us the goals and the rules and all that when you get that all together. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any other business? Next week, same time, same station, same place. Meeting adjourned.
It is hard, isn't it? Okay. Oh, you have it. No,